Hey everybody, my name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film. This is our 34th year of presenting films for, by, and about our community and its allies. This is, however, our first year as a hybrid festival, meaning that we have some films in theater, and we also have some films that are part of our virtual catalog. The Best of Women Shorts is actually both. It was actually in theaters and is actually streaming as of today. So we want to take some time to meet some of our great filmmakers and talk to them a little bit about their films. So I'm going to let our filmmakers introduce themselves, talk briefly about their film, and then we'll have more of a Q&A.
Awesome. I guess I'll start. My name's
Okay.
Latisha Di Venuto. I hope you guys are doing awesome. I'm from New Jersey, and the film that I had in Out on Film, which is really exciting because it was our film's premiere, like world premiere,
Nice.
is called Chocolate Milk. And it's a 10-minute short film about a young girl who challenges her parents to drink chocolate milk every day for a year in hopes of bringing them close together. And it's a family story. It's one that I think shows you sort of like an intimate window or a window into the life of this family. It's led by two wonderful lesbian moms, and they would argue that their house is actually led by their 5-year-old daughter. so it just shows you a day in their life in which they have to, tackle and overcome an obstacle of like the girl being othered in school
Okay.
for her family dynamic.
Great. Thank you. Emily?
My name's, are we both Emily? Yeah, we're both Emily. Which Emily?
Yeah. Emily Ryder.
Okay. My name's Emmalie Ryder. I'm the director of St. Clair West. It's a short experimental film that explores memory and how we remember things in past relationships. And in making the film, I really wanted to like make use of the medium of 16mm film, like practically tying into the themes, like a lot of like the imperfections and the mistakes, I guess, that can come from shooting on film for your first time. Kind of came to life in that, and stuff getting jammed, dirt, everything. It just wanted to play into the kind of imperfect ways we try and remember things.
Thank you. And Emily.
Hi, my name is Emily as well, Emmalie L Fadley, and I'm the writer and director of the short film called From A to Q. From A to Q is, I would call it, I say this all the time, it's kind of like I'm repeating myself now, but I'd call it like a journey of self-discovery. Some would say it's coming out story, but it's more about coming out to yourself, so you're discovering yourself. All through the main character falling in love with her best friend, which I know has been done many times before, but I feel that the film has done it in a different way this time around. So yeah, that's it.
Have any of you ever met or seen each other's films?
No, I would love to,
nice.
but no. Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to make sure that you can see each other's films. But the program is really, really strong. So I look forward to having you all see your film as part of some other great films as well. I just want to ask you, could you just talk briefly about, when you made your film, how long it took, and where you shot it, that sort of thing, whoever. Well, we start with Emily Ryder.
So I made the film a few months before March 2020. I made it in January 2020. So
okay.
A few months before everything happened.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually finish it until January 2021. Like I had edited it, but then like the final like song wasn't really finished. So yeah, we wrapped it up in January 2021. And what was your other question? I'm so sorry.
I think that was just when you shot it, how long it took.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we shot it in a day. It was very run and gun. Like we only had a certain amount of film, so we were very specific about what we wanted to shoot and quick with it. And it was a super small team, like me and 2 other people in the crew, and then the 2 actors. So.
And this was in Toronto?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Emmalie.
Actually, oh, sorry. The name of the film, St. Clair West, is a subway station in Toronto.
Okay.
Which you see in the film.
Okay.
For my film, we were going to shoot it in March 2020, but obviously, lockdown and all of that hit in the UK, especially. So we ended up pushing it, and we shot in October of 2020. So I mean, we still shot during lockdown and we shot during the pandemic and stuff, but it wasn't as insane as when, it all started back in like February or March. So I mean, it was really stressful, obviously, because there was a lot of like, my mind was going like, should we just cancel the shoot altogether? Like, is this a sign or something? Or should we just, move it? And if we reschedule, like, when do we reschedule for? Like, how long is this going to go on for? So it was like really stressful, but I'm quite glad we did it. It took 4 days to shoot, and we shot it all in London.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Latisha.
Awesome. We shot in April. Yeah, we shot on April 2nd of 2021. So it was, we're still in pandemic world, but we knew a little bit more about what was going on. It was very easy to find testing for our actors, for our crew. We all had our lovely masks, face shields, and plenty of hand sanitizer. And we shot also for 1 day in a nice house in Montclair, New Jersey, which was super, super fun. But yeah, because of COVID, we wanted to make sure we did it quickly. One of our actors was going to shoot the stage production of Come From Away. She was in that, and so they were doing, I think like a week later, they were beginning rehearsals so that they could film that the following week. And so we had like a really, really limited time that we could do it. So it was really, really fun. And I think like now especially everything's back, like in terms of filming in the United States, like the industry is like, nope, time to roll, let's go. So I'm excited to like hopefully do something again soon.
Nice.
I think that's it. No, I think that's it. I've said mine. They've all said theirs. So
I thought you had something else to say.
Oh,
so,
no.
Were there any particular inspirations for your film?
Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah.
I was really inspired by a commercial, like a coffee commercial that I saw by a director named Miles J. I didn't even know it was a commercial when I first started watching it. It's just this like 2-minute, really poetic look at a relationship between two people, and it really inspired me to look at my own relationships and my relationship with memory, and like in a short, sweet, kind of like just snappy 2-minute film, 3-minute film, just to kind of embody all those feelings. That was a big inspiration for me, which I'm not usually into commercials, so I thought it was cool that inspired me to make art, because I think it's art. I think that what that guy made was really beautiful. So that was my inspiration.
All right. Emmalie?
I've always wanted to write this sort of story. I always did. I think like, especially growing up, I would always write coming out stories because I think it helped me as well within my journey. But actually, I think, and I'm going to be honest about it, like I didn't steal from it or anything, but it was an inspiration. The show Atypical, I think I was watching the 3rd season of Atypical, and I really loved the girl on girl plot line, their like relationship that they were having, and just like all the subtle things within that story. I don't know, it just like something within me just woke up and I was like, oh, I really want to write something very similar, but obviously not the same because it's already on TV. And then just my mind just kind of wandered off and did its own thing. And yeah, that came out of it. So I don't know, there you go.
For me, it's like a page from my life as a kid with my family. And so of course, like for the short, it's a bit more dramatic than it was in real life, but but yeah, so it's directly inspired by a moment that I had from my childhood with my family.
Nice. What is I'm just kind of curious about your career trajectories, where you are in your filmmaking career. I mean, is this your first film, your 8th film, just sort of where you are in your filmmaking journey? And anybody can start. There's no right order, particular order. Anybody who wants to jump in.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I kind of started my filmmaking like with a web series, which kind of failed and didn't do very well, and I didn't do like more than 2 episodes, but I learned a lot from that. And then I went on to direct someone else's film, and then from that, I was like, oh wow, directing! Like, maybe I should do my own stuff. So this is like I directed my web series, but because it failed miserably, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do that. But then directing someone else's stuff, I don't know, something inside me was like, okay, maybe it can be easy. Maybe I just did it wrong with the web series. So this is my second short film, but actually, from about over 10 years now, I've actually been an editor. So I've been editing other people's shorts. So that's helped a lot, I think, me going into directing as well. But to be honest, like editing is what I want to do. So I'm hoping to keep going as an editor, but
Nice.
you know, being a director has been quite fun too. So.
For me, this is,
You go.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. There's a delay. You do your thing.
For me, this is my first narrative short film. I did 2 music videos in the past that like it was like for fun for me. The first one was called "The Worst Token Black Chick Anywhere," which was me as me talking about, you know, taking the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, but then, you know, spinning it and making it about my life and my background, which was super, super fun. And that helped me get an agent and helped me get my first like TV role. And then the next music video I did was like 3 years ago called Turn Up Alone, which was about like staying like home, ignoring your friends and just like chilling, watching TV, which ironically ended up being like an anthem for COVID because like I still don't really go out and do much. And this short film, I wrote it 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then it always was sort of like this, okay, we're going to do it next year. Oh, I got a new job, so like I don't have time to like really like zero in on it. Oh, okay, you know what? 2020, it's on, it's popping. We're gonna do it, and then of course COVID. So we pushed to 2021, but it's exciting. So this is my first thing, but I'm hoping to continue like exploring this family and their dynamic, and you know, hopefully different scenarios.
Great.
I made this film in my 3rd year at film school. And so I just graduated in April, and I've made a few other short films in film school, but nothing like outside of film school yet. So I'm hoping to start developing my next short film. There's some like, Canada has some great like arts grants. So hoping to apply for them this fall and then maybe shoot my next thing next summer. But in the meantime, I've been working like as a production coordinator in like television and commercials, just to learn more about the industry and like how everything works outside of film school, because things are very different from film school.
Nice. So, you know, what I particularly liked about all of your shorts is that, you know, the shorts that we have in this program are varying lengths. Some of them are fairly short. Some of them are a little bit longer, but you know, each of them, you know, tell a story. They go from A to Q and from instances from A to Z. They're very comprehensive. But talk to me, if you can, about the challenges of telling the story in some instances 2 or 3 minutes or 12 minutes or 15. Just what are the challenges and what do you have to really focus on when you're doing that? And let's start with Emmalie Ryder.
So to make this film, like I said, I wanted to like focus in on like memories from past relationships. So I knew I needed it to be kind of like have like little different vignettes. So I did like some interviews with some friends, like, oh, like what is like one thing that you really remember from your ex relationship? Just a moment. It can be so mundane. It could be just like brushing your teeth together. Like just what are these like little like sparks that stick with you? And I kind of built it from there, just like kind of like puzzle piecing, like a jigsaw puzzle, I guess, just like piecing things together. And yeah, I have probably one of the shorter ones. I'm assuming it's like just under 3 minutes. So that's as long as it needed to be for this film. And because it's just about these little vignettes, it was quite simple to piece together once I was able to draw on like my own kind of memories and memories of my friends and the actors. That's also one thing that I think is great to do if you can, like when you're working with actors, to like bring pieces of themselves into it. Makes, I feel like, it all more cohesive and like it's everyone's art, not just like you alone as the director.
Okay, great.
You win.
Emma?
Sorry, I was actually trying to find my script so I could see how many pages it was. Because oh, okay, right, yeah. So actually, yeah, speaking of that, like, you know, when you're writing it, for me, I just don't know where to stop. You know, the story just keeps on going. And then obviously in film world, it's meant to be like a page a minute, you know, or like a minute to a page, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, you know, looking at my old script, actually, because I started writing it back in 2019, and it was 27 pages, you know, and so like giving it to my DOP and like, you know, getting feedback on scripts is like really, really important. So I was sending it around to a lot of people, and, you know, they were telling me to cut this or add that or whatever. And then the fact that we were going to film in March with like, you know, the script was still in the 20s, like, you know, I think it may have been 27 pages still. So the fact that we had, you know, a good 6 months from when we canceled the shoot to when we rescheduled, it went down to, I think it was, oh my God, I wish I could see, but I don't think I'll be able to. I think it went down, no, it's still saying 26 pages. Well, that's not right. I think it went down to maybe like 17 pages, or even like, yeah, 17 pages to 17 minutes. But one of the scenes in the film, it's like, I think it's like what Emmalie said, you need to let your actors kind of bring what they need to the film. And so there was a scene that was meant to be, so that there was a scene of 3 pages. I might not be exactly what Emmalie said, but there was a scene of 3 pages, and I let them do the scene how they wanted, and it came out wonderfully, but the scene played out to be 8 minutes. So obviously like 3, you know, because of all the emotion and all of that. So yeah, I kind of forgot your question now, to be completely honest with you, but yeah, I mean, my DOP helped me cut a lot of the script down, you know, literally, she was ruthless. She was like, nope, we don't need this. We do not need that. We don't need to be shooting outside of there. You can just cut from there to that. But also as an editor, you know, I saw it very clearly in my head. Like I saw the story very clearly, and I knew how I was going to cut it. So I thought that was very helpful, you know, to start with. And then in the end, I ended up just cutting 1 scene, and that was it. But it is, I remember your question now. It is really difficult to tell a story in a short format. Like it really, really, really is difficult. There's a lot more that I wish I could have said. And a lot of people have said, oh, we wish that we would have seen this side or that side. But it's like, people just have to understand that like, you can't put everything in, or else it will be a feature, if that makes sense, or a short feature even, and nobody wants to see that. So I don't know. No clue if that answered the question, but there you go.
No, that like I definitely like will piggyback on what you were saying. Like my first draft of this was 21 pages. And like now thinking about it, I'm like, we cut it down to 9. So it went from 21 to 9. So half of what we had, even more than half, was cut. And I think what it is that there's so much that can be said, even from like a small moment of life, like, you know, me ordering a Starbucks drink on Uber Eats, you know, essentially could be a 5-minute short film, because I'm scrolling through, I'm picking, oh, do I want the pumpkin spice? Oh, do I want the apple crisp? Do I want almond milk, coconut milk? You're thinking like, oh, you know, what tasted better the last time I had, like all these different things. And that's just like the process of me getting a drink. So imagine like something actually serious and something that's actually beautiful, where you're exploring people's lives. There's so much that you want to say, and there's so much that you want to get out there. And then, you know, because it is the short film format, you don't want to say too much, and you don't want to, sometimes brevity is like your best friend. So as much as like there were moments where I thought in our new draft, the 9-page version, that I was like, oh, maybe we should have stretched this, or maybe we could have did a little bit more of this. I once like we finally were in the editing process, I found that like the 9-minute version was incredibly effective. just because it says everything that needs to be said without repetition, which was something that was in my first drafts, like a ton of repetition that didn't need to be there. And then also because like I do want to move forward with these characters, more can be said later on that doesn't have to necessarily be said on camera. And then like my production designer was amazing. Like there was a scene where I wanted the character to talk about Willy Wonka in my original script, and I remember my producers were like, does she really need to talk about it though? And I was like, yeah, she needs to talk about it though. And then my production designer was like, but she doesn't necessarily need to talk about it, because if we design her bedroom to showcase some of these things from Willy Wonka, like the big flowers, a TV with a microphone that she can stand in front of, certain things that she plays with that like gives that like Willy Wonka-esque like sort of vibe and feel. Those types of things are like subtle ways where you can still have that like homage there without necessarily like blurting it out on camera from the actors in dialect. And so we found ways to get certain things in without necessarily having to have it like be in the script dialogue with the characters. And just like both Emmalie said, making sure that the actors brought like what they wanted to it. There were so many moments, like we had a 6-year-old child in this story, and the actress Billy Ray is just incredible. And so like making sure that like we caught some of her natural mannerisms and things that she did like in the kitchen scene, like some of those things like obviously were not in the script, but she just naturally came up with it, and it was just so adorable and so cute to see that come to life. And same with like the moms, like one of them is my friend in real life, so it was very easy to cast her. And then the other one, like I was a huge fan of her work and was like, I'm gonna figure out how to get her to do this no matter what. And both of them, we had one virtual rehearsal before we filmed, and both of them were like incredibly excited to just like bring themselves to these roles. And we got some really beautiful shots. Like I wish we could show more of like the raw footage of like their shots, because we had so much, but of course you only have so much you can use.
So I don't want to keep you all day. I have one final question. I'd love a quick answer to this. Can you all of you talk about the importance of LGBTQ representation in your work?
Can I go? Can I go first?
Please, yes, please.
I was actually, this is good. I mean, it's not really. Oh my God, Emma, what were you? Sorry, my brain there. That's basically the reason why I do it. I'm going to bring up my web series again, even though please do not go looking for it. But my web series was, I wanted to tell that story just because I wanted to tell it. But then when I got into short filmmaking, the reason behind that was because I wanted to show positive lesbian representation. Like that was my main goal, and that is still my main goal. And those are the types of films I want to keep doing, because at the time when I made my first film, which I think was 2017 or 2018, I still felt like we didn't have much representation, or if we did, it was quite negative, or, there was always something bad happening. And so me and a good friend of mine wrote our first film, which is called The Date, and you can find it on YouTube or Amazon Prime or whatever. And it went on to do extremely well. Like the amount of messages that we get on YouTube, especially, where it's just like, I can't believe there's finally a film where nothing bad happens. We're just seeing these people's lives, and it's just like, and that gave me that like fuel to go on and make another short film. And even though this short film feels a bit darker because she is trapped inside herself, by the end of it, it is a positive thing. Like nothing bad happens. She doesn't, but yeah, so that's my whole aim, is to do positive lesbian representation, because that we just don't have. I mean, it is starting to go there. I mean, we do have much better representation now, but yeah.
Thanks.
So yeah, it's very important. That was the answer.
Emmalie, Ryder?
Yeah, I agree with other Emmalie as well. Just growing up not really seeing the kind of stories that I could really relate to, or that if I could relate in some ways, they did have these tragic endings, or like just bad things happening. That's one part of it. I also feel like it's helpful for me as an artist to better understand myself, like the process of like making the films. Like every time I feel like I discover layers to myself that like I didn't know beforehand, and getting the chance to, you know, contribute to like queer cinema in the little ways that I can has really helped me along with my journey as a queer person.
Great.
And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to echo on both Emily's, like I feel like it's just incredibly important because so often the narratives are hijacked by people who aren't part of the communities, and so when the narratives are hijacked by people who don't necessarily have that lived experience, or that's how we get the stereotypes. Like that's how we get always like the comedic side character, like the this, like and when people who are actually part of the community are the ones who are penning these stories, whether they're using their own experiences, something inspired by their experience, something that they just thought about, even if they didn't necessarily happen to them, I think that's where we begin to like dig deeper. And that's how we begin to see like so much more like beauty and so many more layers, because it's more specific because we actually live these experiences and it's a part of our identity and our humanity. And so for me, in this film, it was like so important that I hired like two lesbians to play the moms because I didn't want to have like straight women doing this part. Not that they wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, I mean, acting is acting.
Sure.
But I wanted to make sure that the people who are doing this would actually feel affected by it because it could potentially affect them in ways. And my actors and we had some wonderful conversations about that. And for me, I just feel as if like we're in an era now where we're slowly but surely starting to move into like authentic representation, like things that were got a pass 5 years ago, even, you know, like with Glee, wouldn't get a pass today.
Exactly.
And that's exciting for me. So I'm excited to be a part of that.
Nice. The program is Best of Women's Shorts. It's a very, very strong program this year. St. Clair W, Chocolate Milk, and Lgbtq are three of the exceptional shorts in the program. Thank you all for joining us today. I mean, I'm so happy to have your films in our program. I'm happy to have had this conversation with you. I look forward to hearing feedback that we get from about your films and working with you all again in the very near future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.
Bye.
You too.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Bye.
It was
Bye.
nice meeting you all.
Nice
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.